Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Nigeria Now on Equal Television, where we keep you updated with the happening currently in the country. As we are aware, it's the D-Day for the protest. Various sections, various states in the country already are taking it to the streets. Plateau is out, Borno is out, Lagos, Oyo, Abuja, all of this, and more states are joining, where we're seeing people that are taking various forms and actually expressing their grievance concerning the hashtag End Bad Governance. And as well, we'd love to look at what the VCs are saying concerning the hike of electricity tariff, and then what it might imply that maybe students might have to actually start paying electricity, fee. So these and many others are what we would love to look at this afternoon. I'm Sarah Elisha. Of course, I'll be doing the program with Rachel Tanzi. Good morning. Afternoon.
Afternoon, Sarah.
All right, so let's look at what's happening concerning hardships straight away. I mean, already various states are taking form, Rachel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no longer news. It's actually happening presently, where we're seeing cross section, various people taking on placards, people taking the various forms that will actually send the message across
Yes.
to the government. And we will recall in the morning some of the papers we saw where the government is saying that the protesters should end the protest and let there be dialogue. But I mean, during the protests on the street, especially in Lagos, where we are seeing some of the protesters are saying that if the government want them to dialogue, they should bring the dialogue table to the street.
They should.
They are not going to dialogue in anywhere. They are going to
Anywhere,
dialogue on the
yes.
street, And actually, that will look kind of funny, but I mean, Nigerians are really, really serious. In as much as we saw initially, before plans towards that, there was a bit of fear. Of course, there's tension in the country, because you will like from morning when we were all coming to work, we could really tell that businesses are not really moving that fast. Business is slow, people are just being very careful and all of that. And I say that as a result of it, there was panic buying, so prices of food commodity was very, very high as of yesterday in various parts of the country. But I mean, the protest is here. We're already looking at day one, because it's supposed to last for about 10 days. But we are seeing that some bodies are coming and say, can you just reduce it to maybe a day or 3 days at most? But I mean, these protesters mean business. They say they will not stop this protest until the government do something concerning the hardship, because the hardship is really, really, really very hard on people. And so it's really time that Nigerians will come out and express their grievances concerning what is happening in the country.
So there's a mystery about this protest. And I believe the mystery is what makes it interesting on a very high level. And I also believe is the thing that birthed the fear in the federal government, because they do not know who to attack and where to go about it. And I think the top of the mystery is that the organizers of these protests have successfully remained anonymous in a lot of ways. We might have back and forth, left, right, center, and Peter will be making certain statements saying people alleging him to be a sponsor and all of that. Still yet, we cannot, the federal government cannot for sure pinpoint who precisely, right, are behind this protest. It's almost like it is Mr. Nobody that is going about the protest. And then if we are to look at it, I believe that this is what brings about what the protesters are saying at the moment, that you should bring the table to the street. The federal government wants to be in control, like how they deal with organized labor, how they deal with CSO, how they deal with any other organization that comes out, SERAP. They want it to be that specific. You know what? So that they can have dialogue with labor or the TUC, so that they can know who they go to negotiate with, closed doors dialogue. But then, Sele, even with these well-known organizations and bodies, when did dialogue ever give Nigerians what they needed? We can talk about the show that happened with labor and the federal government, and in the end, what did we end up with as our minimum wage? 70,000, nothing close to what labor proposed at the beginning. And this will make us think and say left, right, different kinds of things concerning labor being a sellout. Now that has gone. But you see, this is a protest for Nigerians, by Nigerians, for the issues, right, that affects everybody, whether you stay locked up in your room, whether you're too afraid to go out, whether you are silent, whether you refuse to speak up, in the end, this protest is for you, whether you accept it or not, whether your fear won't let you. For those who are bold enough to take on the street, this protest is for you who is afraid and hiding somewhere. And these are but the many things that make this protest a mystery and interesting, because yes, if the government wants to dialogue, then they dialogue with the whole of Nigerians. And what do Nigerians want? The federal government is not ready to do what Nigerians want. So why should we dialogue with you when you rather give us 50 kg of and 50 kg of rice
Right,
at 40,000 naira than putting the things that we expect you to put in place, because we don't want palliatives from the federal government. We want to be able to have in abundance to the extent that we become self-reliant as a country and that we'll be able to thrive. We have decades and decades going of us having nothing to show, most especially the youth of this time and period. Precisely. So when you call it a youth rage, ask yourself, if you were to be in their shoes, what would you think? Our leaders had the privilege, Sele, of enjoying a Nigeria that thrive. We cannot boast of the same. We do not know. Ever since I was a child, all I know is inflation. I remember when Coca-Cola was 10 naira, and one day we woke up, it was 20 naira. And I remember that I had to start sharing a bottle of Coke during break in school with my brother, and that wasn't the case. Then as time goes on, things will be balanced. And this is what we have witnessed ever since from childhood. I'm talking about pre-primary, because I can clearly remember from nowhere the price of Coca-Cola doubled. And we had to share. We went from everybody having their bottle of Coke to now sharing. Yes, as a child I can remember this, and the story haven't changed. It's the same Nigeria. You wake up today, something is 15 naira, and before you close your eyes at the end of the year, and it's 200 naira, and it becomes big man food and all of that. That is what our generation as youth have to endure in the hands of people that have had nothing but a good and a beautiful Nigeria with jobs waiting for them. And then, of course, we have youths that would need to take on the street because we want to hope that we can maybe have a glimpse of a Nigeria that could work for everybody and not just for a few selected elites.
Of course. You know, while you were talking, I just remember, just recently we changed our national anthem. We were talking about Nigeria, we hailed this. What is there to hail about Nigeria presently? Looking at the various reasons that Nigerians have a reason to be on the streets. Talking about how much is a bag of rice right now. We saw one of the column, I think precisely Blueprint newspaper, where it said, okay, we are buying 50 kg of rice at 40,000 naira. How about the stew? Where is the stew for it? Where's the money for it? If you want us to buy the rice, how about the stew? And this is question Nigerians are asking. We can see some of the pictures. We see someone holding an empty pot to tell you that there is hunger, no food.
There is hunger.
So what will the government do about that? Of course, this is just the one. Now we know that the way protests do start is just a build-up to see how things are. But I'm happy I can see security agents present. They protect the protesters as well as to make sure that nobody take advantage of it. But we'll keep our fingers crossed, and just like we say, the important thing is for everybody to be safe. And we hope that the message will be sent clearly to the government. There should not be any misinterpretation, no misunderstanding. They should get the message that what Nigerians are tired of what is happening. Just like you said, there was a time that Nigeria was good. But what are we handing over to our children? We can't even see a future for us. How about our children that are coming? And so I'm hoping that the government honestly will get the message that protesters are sending. As well, we're still seeing, concerning the issue of bad governance. We're seeing here whereby the VC's panel are saying that, you know what, because of the electricity hike and all of that, we think that students might have to start paying 80,000 naira electricity fee. And I just can't help but remember back then when I was in school, and then when I look at the entire receipt, and there's certain things I have to pay, and I have to pay again. On the receipt, I'm seeing that departmental fee, for example, 5,000. I'll still go to my department and pay 6,000 naira. Now we're seeing that. So just imagine, part of the things you'll now be paying will not be included electricity fee, 80,000. So that means to say a number of students will no longer be living in the university. Some people will option for staying off camp. so that they'll be able to save at a time where things are very difficult. And here we're saying, and you won't really blame the vice chancellor's panel for coming up with such a suggestion, because imagine paying over 200 million monthly for electricity. Of course, these VCs will just have to find a way to survive, where we're seeing that nothing is even coming from the government for them to be able to maintain certain things in school. We are seeing how infrastructures are. So definitely the VCs will just have to suggest that maybe students will have to pay 80,000 naira. So imagine you have to prepare. September is just how many months? A month away. So you have to start preparing. While you are preparing for school fees, you are preparing for additional money. So imagine how much tuition fee will be. And I just can't help but wrap my head around how hard and difficult things are getting by the day.
I had a little conversation with two people yesterday. These are quite elderly men, so they're not even youths. They're not in my age category, and one of the reasons they're applauding this government, of course, everybody have their own opinion, is that the government took out subsidy on electricity, and I think the word for me was I was perplexed. It's more than surprise. It's one thing for you to be surprised. At the time I'm having mixed feelings concerning that kind of statement. And in my mind, I was like, do these people really know what it means that electricity tariff has been taken, and that now something as basic as electricity, very, very basic, Sele, and this is the sad part about this country, that your basic needs becomes luxury. So it's almost like when people see you eating bread, you have arrived. It is sad, Sele. When you say you're on band A, you are a champion. It is embarrassing, because these are basic needs. And if only they knew the implication of this tariff subsidy removal on electricity, I don't think anybody would be happy. Now, first of all, I am not saying it was an easy decision for the federal government, but it was a bad decision, because whether we like it or not, it is not only going to affect businesses, but it has affected the lives of Nigerians directly. And now we are having VCs at the receiving end, because now they have bills mounting up in millions. And we saw where the federal government is trying to bring up a system where they begin to generate and remit revenue to the federal government. And we know that these are some of the things where we have ASU, non-academic staff union, we have that of the senior staff going out and saying, you know what, so much is missing in our schools, and we are not going to teach, bring out half-baked students, make it look like we're incompetent, and we're not even paid well, and all of that. And these are all but the many reasons. And then tomorrow, if a vice chancellor cannot provide electricity in his institution, he is a failure. But then now on the other side, he has to deal with millions, hundreds of millions of electricity bills as a result of a tariff hike due to subsidy removal by the federal government. And the question is, do this current administration weigh their decisions before taking it? Because no decision in government whatsoever is easy, but do you weigh the consequences, as it will affect the life, the daily life of the citizens in your country? And I believe this is where this administration is failing, because no economic policy is easy, no decision is easy, as long as it comes to governance and all of that. But what are you doing to make sure that the impact is not felt as it is on the people? And now, whether we like it or not, there's going to be a tuition hike, because yes, our varsities will have to pay for electricity either way, because students need to read. Even if they're not cooking with the light, even if they're not doing anything, they have to study, Sele. They have to read. So we are going to most likely look at another increase in the tuition fee. We saw that in the start of last session, the year 2023-24, and now we are going to see that for 2024-2025, despite student loans. Now, it looks like the government is giving one hand and collecting with the other. But this time around is worse, because did the government now know that the vice chancellors are planning to add this much electricity bill into tuition because budget has been passed and there's been a designated amount for this student loan, and there is students are already beginning to get it without capturing this new development coming from the visit, and you just can't help but wonder, when will we ever get it?
Right.
Because it doesn't look like we're getting it. You're stitching this hole, another one is breaking on the other
Honestly,
side.
and even if we're going to talk about the student loan, not every student actually, because they have to actually check it, verify, and not everybody is actually going to
Yes.
get. Even the money we're seeing that they're going to be giving them an allowance for 20,000 naira. How many people for I think for now we just have about 20,000 of students that are going to benefit from it
Yes,
for
and
start.
5 institutions.
So you could
only.
imagine
Yeah.
how about the other institutions, and definitely, just like you said, it's more like the government is giving with its hand, collecting with the other hand, and just cannot help. You can't just wonder, okay, your siblings, your cousins, and every other person there,
Everybody.
how are you going to cope?
Yes.
So just like we said, honestly, we don't know where this country is heading to. But above all, we are just hopeful that the government will sit back and think about every decision. Sometimes you look at the intentions might be right, but then the implementation, the timing
It
is
is
wrong. It's
always a
ill-timed when you
problem,
look at
yes.
certain things. So we hope that the government will be able to maneuver their way out of this and
Let's
find
wait
a
and
way
see.
to figure
Let's
out
see.
what they are going
Yes.
to do concerning all of this. Well, Rachel, thank you so much
You're
for doing
welcome,
this with
Sally.
me as well. Thank you to our viewers and every other person who made it out to make this program a success. Till we meet again tomorrow, please do have a blessed day and stay safe.